Hi guys, I am back with another book related video. I am Catherine, and today I'm going to be talking about The Summer Children by Dot Hutchison. And this book, this is another book. This is the third book in the Butterfly Garden series, and this one takes place with Mercedes Ruiz, and it talks about her past and why she became an agent for crimes against children. And I really enjoyed it just because I heard a lot of her backstory and why she has her scars and why she ultimately decided to become an agent. This book takes place a couple years after the garden. I think it's like a year after the garden, maybe two. And it talks about, basically, it mentions the trial. It doesn't really go into details about it. But anyway, so she comes home after a date night with her girlfriend, and she finds a child on her front step covered in blood, and he says that the angel said that she would keep him safe. And Mercedes was kind of really surprised, honestly. I would be surprised too if a child was on my doorstep covered in blood. And honestly, the crime is very graphic. The child also says that this guardian angel, as she had a mask on, she had blonde hair, and he couldn't see her eyes. So like there was like a mirror or something like in the mask. Um, and all of these children have one thing in common, is that they've been abused, or that they have been sexually abused by a family member or sometimes by the mother. And CPS has failed to remove them from the home. And honestly, are this book kind of shows like flaws in the system on trying to protect kids, and how parents kind of work a way around it, and how kids are so scared to tell them what's happening because they are afraid of being taken from their families. However, it's also might be in the best interest of the child at times. So I mean, it goes into all that, which is why I kind of like really enjoyed this book, even though it is really sad. um Mercedes has a girlfriend, and her girlfriend, for me, was really annoying this entire book, just because she works in the FBI, but she works in, like, I think terrorism, as I think she's a computer analyst or something like that. But she's so annoying. Like, she's not really there for Mercedes, and she like blames her for like these children being shown up on her doorstep where she has no control over what happens. And she basically leaves all in a huff, and she freaks out, which I can understand, like, freaking out, because it is a child covered in blood who's on your girlfriend's step. But she's not very supportive, and she just kind of gets on my nerve. So I'm kind of glad she's not in there very much. And when she is, I kind of just like roll my eyes, like, okay, can we just like hurry up through that part? But I really enjoy this book, and I also like the kind of like the psychology, kind of like on the serial killer, because she is murdering the parents and then dropping the children off at Mercedes because there is some type of connection there. Mercedes doesn't know what kind of connection, but she knows it's a connection. And this one, their team is on desk duty. So I guess in the FBI they rotate which group is working in cases, and this and Mercedes' team is basically catching up on paperwork. And what I love about Mercedes is she's so good with all the kids. Like, she understands, and she doesn't try and push them to talk about what happened, and she's very patient with them, very considerate of her movements and how she is wording things, and how she basically talks to this one little boy who doesn't talk, and who's not comfortable around women. So when the one of the CPS workers says, "Oh, he's stay in this boundary line. He's okay with you." So she tries to stay in that boundary line, and she gets down to kind of his level to talk to him. And I kind of just love how she also can relate to these kids and what she's been through in the past. And I'm really not going to say anything about her backstory just because it plays such a big part in this book and of who she is and how she became. And there is like a big surprise in this book with her backstory and how it links to a certain member of her team. So I just don't want to go into like really, really detailed. And I feel like that's something as the reader you guys will really want to enjoy. Um, and also, there's one of their lead agents, Victor Hanoverian, is not in the field anymore. He is more in the office, but he also is also more moral support for his team when they need him, because they say it a lot. Crimes against children, the area that they work, there are a lot of burnout, and a lot of people end up transferring. And then in this book, Mercedes, after like I think like the second kid that shows up, they're also working with local police and a detective she has worked with before. And she is basically, they told her, you need to stay out of this because it's direct to you and we kind of want to keep you safe. And she doesn't feel like she's in any real danger just because, like, this killer who's killing the parents is dropping the kids off for her to protect. So she's thinking it has to do with a past case. So she's trying to go into all of her cases and figure out who it is. But she's worked with thousands of cases. She's been in this unit for almost 10 years. And there's just numbers of cases. And they can't really roll out if it's a female or a male just because they're kids. They don't, it could be a male with a higher voice who looks like a male. Like, it just, there's so many possibilities. And it even says where she's talking about how she's going through these cases and figuring out what's happened to these young, now adult victims. And it's very hard on her because she kind of, after a case is done, like there's that after. She's really not there for the after. And so going through back, figuring out what happens to these kids, it's really hard on her. And through this book, she's really questioning, like, did she help enough? Did she do enough? And I kind of like the internal struggle that it shows in this book with her, like how she wants to help everyone and how she just wants to make these the best situations for these kids, even they're in this situation that they should have never been put into. This book, I would have to give 4 out of 5 stars, only because, like I said, her girlfriend was very annoying. And, like, when I say annoying, I mean annoying. And I liked how the team just surrounds her and envelops her in their love and support. The only issue with this book that I had, it's really minor, was that Victor Hanoverian just was really a supervisor, and I kind of missed him in the field, which was something that wasn't really negative, but I just missed his character in the field. And his character is in throughout the book, but it's not very much in the book. Like, there's like maybe a few things in there, but I really enjoyed this book. So 4 out of 5 for this one. It was just an amazing, well-written book. And this one wasn't as hard as The Roses of May, just because it didn't, I mean, the children talked about like what they went through and things like that. Like, that part was hard, but and then kind of like at the very end was really emotional for Mercedes, just because of everything she has been so working hard trying to do, and she feels like she failed. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this book. That's all for this one. I'm coming up with another one, and it's going to be by the same author. So you guys, this is the end of this video, and as always, please like and subscribe to my channel, and please have a safe and happy day. Bye.